The scenario is alarming. 93% of the world's population is sick and doesn't know it. This shocking data is not mere speculation, but the result of extensive research and scientific analysis that reveals a silent metabolic health crisis. Imagine a condition so prevalent that it affects almost all of humanity, but so subtle that it goes unnoticed by most. This is precisely the situation we face today. Metabolic health, often overlooked in everyday discussions about wellness, is the foundation upon which our overall vitality is built. It encompasses a series of essential biochemical processes that regulate how our body uses and stores energy. When these processes become deregulated, the consequences can be devastating, even if initially imperceptible. A study published in the Metabolic Syndrome Journal in 2023 analyzed data from more than 50 countries, revealing that only 7% of the global population has ideal metabolic health parameters. This number is particularly concerning when we consider that metabolic health is a crucial indicator for the development of chronic diseases such as type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and certain types of cancer. But what exactly constitutes good metabolic health? Scientists have established 5 main markers: adequate levels of fasting glucose, triglycerides, HDL cholesterol, blood pressure, and waist circumference. To be considered metabolically healthy, an individual must be within ideal parameters in all of these indicators without the use of medication. The reality, however, is that the vast majority of the population fails to meet these standards. Dr. Robert Lustig, renowned endocrinologist and author of Metabolical: The Lure and the Lies of Processed Food, Nutrition and Modern Medicine, argues that this metabolic health crisis is largely driven by our modern diet. What we see is a pandemic of metabolic diseases caused primarily by excessive consumption of ultra-processed foods, says Lustig. These foods, rich in refined sugars and trans fats, are designed to be highly palatable and addictive, leading to a cycle of overconsumption and metabolic dysregulation. A particularly insidious aspect of this crisis is its silent nature. Many individuals with compromised metabolic health do not experience obvious symptoms at first. It's as if our body is playing an out-of-tune symphony, but so subtly that we don't notice it until the cacophony becomes deafening. Early signs of metabolic syndrome, a cluster of conditions that significantly increase the risk of heart disease. Stroke and type 2 diabetes are often ignored or misinterpreted. Chronic fatigue, for example, is often attributed to everyday stress, when in reality it may be an indication of insulin resistance, a precursor to diabetes. Another often overlooked sign is the gradual increase in abdominal circumference. While many view this as a purely aesthetic issue, the accumulation of visceral fat is a critical indicator of compromised metabolic health. This fat, which accumulates around internal organs, is metabolically active and releases inflammatory substances that can cause systemic damage over time. Dr. Sarah Hallberg, an obesity and diabetes expert, highlights that many people believe they are healthy simply because they are not overweight. However, studies show that up to 40% of normal weight people may be metabolically obese. This phenomenon, known as normal weight obesity, underscores the importance of looking beyond the scale when assessing metabolic health. One of the most important and often overlooked biomarkers is insulin resistance. Insulin, a hormone produced by the pancreas, regulates blood glucose levels. When cells become resistant to insulin, the body needs to produce increasing amounts of this hormone to keep glucose levels under control. This silent process can occur for years before fasting glucose levels begin to rise, signaling the onset of prediabetes or type 2 diabetes. Dr. Benjamin Bickman, author of Why We Get Sick, argues that insulin resistance is at the heart of the chronic disease epidemic we face today. Insulin resistance is not just a glucose metabolism problem. It affects virtually every system in the body, from brain function to cardiovascular health, explains Bickman. Global health trends paint a grim picture. According to the World Health Organization, the prevalence of obesity has nearly tripled since 1975. In 2016, more than 1.9 billion adults were overweight, of which more than 650 million were obese. These statistics are particularly alarming when we consider the strong correlation between obesity and compromised metabolic health. However, weight is just the tip of the iceberg. A study published in the Journal of the American College of Cardiology in 2022 revealed that even individuals of normal weight have an increased risk of cardiovascular disease if they have other markers of metabolic syndrome. This highlights the importance of a holistic assessment of health, which goes beyond traditional metrics such as body mass index, BMI. Chronic low-grade inflammation is another crucial often overlooked factor that is closely linked to metabolic health. This inflammation, unlike the acute inflammatory response that occurs in response to injury or infection, is a silent, persistent process that can cause cumulative damage over time. Inflammatory markers such as C-reactive protein, CRP, and interleukin-6, IL-6, are often elevated in individuals with compromised metabolic health, even in the absence of obvious symptoms. Dr. David Ludwig, professor of nutrition at the Harvard School of Public Health, argues that our traditional understanding of calories and energy balance is inadequate to explain the complexity of metabolic health. It's not just a matter of calories consumed versus calories burned. The quality of the foods we eat and how they affect our hormones and metabolism is equally, if not more, important, says Ludwig. This perspective highlights the importance of considering not only the quantity, but also the quality of the food we consume. Highly processed foods, even when consumed in amounts calorically equivalent to whole foods, can have drastically different effects on our metabolism. They tend to be quickly digested and absorbed, causing sharp spikes in blood glucose and insulin, which, over time, can contribute to insulin resistance and other metabolic disorders. An often underestimated aspect of metabolic health is the role of the gut microbiome. Recent research has demonstrated that the composition of our gut flora can have a significant impact on how we metabolize food and regulate energy. A study, published in the journal Nature in 2023, showed that individuals with compromised metabolic health tend to have a reduced diversity of gut bacteria, as well as an increase in species associated with inflammation. Dr. Iran Elinov, an immunologist and microbiologist at the Weizmann Institute of Science, suggests that the gut microbiome can be viewed as an additional endocrine organ, profoundly influencing our metabolism and overall health. This discovery opens up new possibilities for therapeutic interventions, from dietary modifications to the use of specific probiotics and prebiotics to improve metabolic health. Another crucial factor often overlooked in discussions about metabolic health is the role of sleep. Studies have consistently shown that even moderate sleep deprivation can lead to significant changes in metabolism. A study published in the journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism showed that just 1 week of insufficient sleep, less than 6 hours per night, can result in changes in insulin sensitivity comparable to those seen in pre-diabetic individuals. Dr. Matthew Walker, neuroscientist and author of Why We Sleep, argues that sleep is possibly the most underrated factor in the metabolic health equation. He explains that inadequate sleep not only affects our appetite-regulating hormones, leading to an increase in calorie consumption, but also compromises the body's ability to metabolize glucose efficiently. Exposure to environmental endocrine disruptors is another factor that has gained increasing attention in the context of metabolic health. Substances such as bisphenol A, BPA, phthalates, and certain pesticides, commonly found in everyday products, have been linked to metabolic changes. A study published in Environmental Health Perspectives in 2022 found a significant correlation between elevated levels of certain endocrine disruptors in the blood and markers of metabolic syndrome. Dr. Anna Soto, an endocrinologist at Tufts University School of Medicine, warns that we are constantly exposed to a cocktail of chemicals that can subtly interfere with our endocrine system. The cumulative impact of these exposures over time can be substantial, even if the individual effects look small. Faced with this alarming scenario, the question that naturally arises is, what can we do? The good news is that metabolic health is highly responsive to lifestyle changes. Dr. Mark Hyman, functional medicine practitioner and author of several books on metabolic health, emphasizes that most people can significantly reverse their metabolic dysfunction in a matter of weeks with the right interventions. These interventions include, but are not limited to, adoption of a diet based on whole foods, rich in fiber, healthy fats and quality proteins, and low in refined sugars and ultra-processed foods, regular physical exercise, including both aerobic and resistance activities. Prioritize sleep by consistently aiming for 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep per night. Stress management, through techniques such as meditation, yoga, or other mindfulness practices, minimizing exposure to endocrine disruptors, opting for organic products, when possible, and avoiding plastics and other synthetic materials in food storage and preparation. Implementing periods of intermittent fasting, which has shown significant benefits for insulin sensitivity and overall metabolic health. Dr. Rhonda Patrick, biochemist and aging specialist, highlights the importance of a personalized approach. Each individual has a unique response to different dietary and lifestyle interventions. Regular monitoring of key biomarkers can help fine-tune strategies to optimize individual metabolic health, he explains. It is crucial to understand that improving metabolic health is not just a matter of preventing future disease, but also optimizing present quality of life. Individuals with good metabolic health tend to experience higher energy levels, better sleep quality, more stable moods, and improved cognitive function. As we move forward, it is imperative that both individuals and healthcare systems prioritize metabolic health. This requires a paradigm shift, moving from a reactive model, focused on treating disease, to a proactive model, focused on optimizing health and preventing disease. Dr. Peter Attia, a longevity physician and author of Outlive: The Science and Art of Longevity, argues that the future of medicine is in prevention and early intervention. We need to shift our focus from treating disease to creating health. In conclusion, the silent epidemic of compromised metabolic health affecting 93% of the world's population is a formidable but not insurmountable challenge. With a deeper understanding of the factors that influence our metabolic health and the implementation of evidence-based strategies, we have the potential to reverse this alarming trend. The first step is awareness, recognizing that even in the absence of obvious symptoms, our metabolic health may be at risk. The next step is action, making informed and consistent choices that support our metabolic health in all aspects of our lives. The journey to optimal metabolic health is an investment in our present and future well-being. It's an opportunity to redefine what it means to be truly healthy, going beyond superficial appearances to cultivate deep, lasting vitality. As more people become aware and proactive about their metabolic health, we can expect to see a significant change in global health statistics. The challenge is great, but the potential for transformation, both individual and collective, is immense. Metabolic health is the foundation on which we build not only longevity, but also quality of life. It's time to wake up to this reality and take control of our metabolic health.